take it a little slower. I wake up breakfast.
I'm a different kind of cop.
I don't wanna do your dirty work no more.
Not to time us or to show where this is going, but if you're watching this is the 10th episode. Nothing changes for you, but this is where Multiplex Entertainment has purchased TV Chronicles. You'll see it just show up. We'll talk about it later, but this is the week that the purchase happened. 3 packs of bubble gum I think I sold for Nazario for TV Chronicles.
I thought you sold Payson over to the video store.
Just really hoping Payson carries over to Multiplex to watch TV Chronicles. Thanks. But we're back. Episode 10, Season 3. We're in the midst of the seasons. Mark, how are you? How was your viewing experience this week?
It was good. I definitely appreciated you doing your Jackie Moon impression of, trading, like a show for a washing machine and be like, well, we needed a point guard. They needed a washing machine. We just got the deal done.
Yeah. It's like the Titanic, but full of bears. Matt, how are you? How are your viewing experience?
Doing good. I mean, I watched all these shows.
It's good.
Do you not usually? Like, what's the...
Dude, he just...
Normally, I just ask ChatGPT, like, what happened this week?
Run it through, like, I ain't wasting my time. But still more episodes than Mike. Mine was good. Yeah, it's an interesting week in all of our times. If you're watching this, we're already go back and watch Last of Us. We started doing that, so this will be a fun time to revisit. But yeah, we're gonna kick it off with The Shield. Matt's gonna take us through what Vic and that corrupt fucking town is going through. Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna kick things off. Episode 4, Streaks and Tips, which I definitely wrote down as Steaks and Tips when I first saw it on Hulu, but I corrected it mid-episode.
That is the most Matt thing I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Hey, that's how you know I don't cheat in trivia, because I don't spell a goddamn word right.
If he ever starts showing up and everything's perfectly spelled, we shut up immediately.
But we start off the episode. Shane is celebrating his engagement. He's giving out cigars to everyone. Then we cut over. Dutch and Claudette are responding to a call at Corinne's hospital, where it seems like a man was poisoned. Dutch immediately puts all the clues together and figures out it was the victim's brother doing it. Dutch questions the brother, goes at him pretty hard, plays like a bad cop. But the guy won't confess, and the brother doesn't want to get him in trouble. So Dutch has to bring Claudette in to come play the good cop. She shows the guy a report that traces of the poison were found in his kitchen. So he agrees to confess so that Claudette would get credit instead of Dutch. So that knocks out them for pretty much the rest of this episode. Tavon tells Vic that he's thinking of transferring off of the strike team because no duh. Vic asks him to kind of just sit tight for a little bit. They're going to work it out with Shane and stuff. Vic gets called away to a crime scene where we see a homeless advocate and her son were kidnapped after a robbery of a pawn shop. She was killed. Thankfully, the child was left unharmed, and there was a couple other dead people in the pawn shop. Claudette assigns the case to the strike team and the decoy squad, and they decide to make just like a little friendly wager about who can bring in the shooter first. And they settle on the losers are going to have to streak through the barn. One of the witnesses, who wants to be an actress, says that it was a black girl and a white guy. We cut to Tavon and Shane are visiting another pawn shop where they're talking to Tavon's informant. And Shane goes on him a little bit hard and ends up arresting him just to make Tavon look bad. But Vic ends up cutting him loose when they take him back to the barn.
What's he doing in the fucking cage? Oh, do this. Get him out. God, those two. I'll tell you. I think Vic and Shane went to play clan members. I believe Shane became a clan member. I just want that on the record.
I don't
Like,
think he became one. I think he's
yeah,
been one.
it finally was like, wait, this is socially acceptable. Let's go. He's Tony Soprano, but worse. Right.
So they find out that the stolen jewelry was previously pawned by the suspects. Aceveda tries to bring in a journalist to help cover the case since he thinks it's going to be a slam dunk. Danny and her new partner respond to a call about a disturbance at Julian's house. The stepson called because Julian and his wife were arguing. Aceveda asks Danny if he should be worried about Julian. And Danny asks if Julian maybe came back to work too early. And then towards the end of that, Aceveda ends up deciding to partner Julian and Danny together, get that magic team back together. However, Julian is kind of upset that he hasn't been able to get his wife pregnant. So that's kind of their story.
Shane can just dick around and get somebody and knock her up like that. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, buddy.
I don't understand what the problem could be.
We have two shows actively going on right now that are like fighting their gay tendencies. Like they're just dying inside.
The decoy squad catches a male suspect. Claudette questions him, and he says that he wasn't the shooter. It was the girl and her old boyfriend. The strike team catches Dina trying to sell a car. I think she was in the first season or second season, kind of flirting with Aceveda. She agrees to lead them to the shooter. She does, and the strike team makes the arrest. Corrine calls Vic and tells him Cassidy is missing, so he ends up running home, leaving right before the arrest. Police are already looking into it. They end up getting into a fight while driving around looking for her. They find her at a playground, and Corrine tells Vic that they all need to talk to a counselor. Probably the smartest thing anyone said in this whole episode.
Facts.
And now we'll go to the stupidest thing anyone said in this episode. Vic asked Tavon to go work it out with Shane so that they can be a solid unit. So Tavon goes to Shane's apartment to clear the air. However, Shane gets racist and they end up getting into a fight, which Mara has to break up by hitting.
Racist. Shane literally, I'm sorry, but this one part stuck out to me so much. He's like, he's got big things for you. You think he's going to pick you over me? And said it, I'm just like, by the way, looking at the two,
they almost hashed it out before that too. He was right out the door.
Got to walk out the door and still, but there's just no way Shane needs to pick that fight. That man is twice the size of him. Like, it makes no sense.
But Shane's wiry.
Yeah, we're about to get to the door. Called him a full racial term and then expects to not get his ass whooped.
I just didn't know what decade we were in. It just it felt like an outdated.
Yeah, there's. Shane would have said a different
night.
word, but I guess because it's on FX, so you can get away with a lot of stuff, but you can't get away with everything.
Yeah,
Vic dropped it 3 times in the. I guess they burned the year.
Yeah, well, I thought, it wasn't even a season ago.
And he said it's like a 14-year-old kid in the video, like blah 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 blah. blah.
Well, maybe Shane respects Tavon a little bit more than that. I don't know.
It's wild. But then they're like, yeah, I thought it was in the episodes of the Jeffersons or something. I was like, well, what is happening right now?
Oh, yeah. But yeah, they have an all-out brawl. They wreck the apartments. Mara shows back up, and she ends up hitting Tavon in the head with an iron to kind of break it up.
When he gets those big eyes, I was like, "Oh shit, something's going on."
Oh yeah, he's messed up. So he runs out of there and gets in his car, and he's driving down the road, and you see he is not with it at all, and he ends up crashing his van, and he goes out the front window, and they cut to him just laying there. He's got his shoe off, his legs all over the place,
his arms like.
I was like, I was marking 1 kill down, and then I was like, oh well, they haven't officially said, so I'll delete that part. But yeah, but then we end the episode on a light note with the decoy squad streaking through the barn. And Vic said he wishes that Shane and Tavon had been there to see that. So that's
What
this
a
episode.
weird bunch of perverts in this episode.
Yeah,
Like,
HR
hey,
is not going to be
you
happy with this.
want your pride, blah blah blah. We just had a fucking page report come out of all the bad things that happened in the barn, and we're 4 episodes into season 3, and you know what we're gonna do? Let's streak through The Office. I was like,
Yeah, but
all
Acevedo
right,
had to
cool.
fire like half the people, including the HR people, so they're good to go now.
Yeah, it was a fine episode. I liked the Shane Tavon incident, especially where it goes. I thought that was really good. Shane's one of the dumbest characters in TV history. Him and Pete and Christopher could literally drive a car like Thelma and Louise style off a fucking cliff, and I would be happy. All 3 seasons would be better. But overall, I thought it was an okay episode, not a great episode. It was goofy until that part happened.
Mm-hmm.
The rest was because I didn't care about the guns. I didn't care about like the shooter like hunting that down and like.
Yeah.
It was nothing. None of the side stuff grabbed me enough.
Yeah, none of the side stuff this week is all that great.
Also, I don't know how you guys will probably feel different than me. I don't like the progression of Dutch. He's getting more and more like I guess you would consider it confident, but overall he usually is that. But now it's like.
I think it's because they have them like less with Claudette this season because like together they work really well.
They're good like strongman versus like there's a back and forth that they bring out, which is interesting. Plus, Claudette's eyes are one of the most like intimidating thing that's ever existed. Like when she gives a death stare, it scares me, and I'm not there. But I don't know what It feels with Claudette in her new position, Dutch is solo.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not good solo. He's good together. Mm-hmm. And every time they're like entering a door while the other one's exiting or like coming in halfway, they're not working as a unit. And that's the only thing I don't like so much so far of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, Dutch has been kind of stagnant for about a season and a half at this point.
Yeah.
They don't really know what to do with him. I kind of like what they were doing like in season 1. Like they kind of were building up his character. He had a little bit of intrigue of his relationship with Danny, but he's really been relegated now to Dutch is gonna handle the case of the week stuff, and we're gonna get and like Vic and his squad are gonna be dealing with Money Train and whatever illegal thing we have them doing this week. But like Dutch is just gonna be here solving cases. And yeah, you're right about Tavon too. Like because he should be the number 2 of the squad. Like he's down to go into some illegal stuff, and he's actually competent at doing what needs to be done.
But Shane and Vic have been together for years.
I've known him for 7 years.
See, the thing is, Vic should have just sat them both down together, and the 3 of them should have talked. But he's like, no, you go talk to Shane. You guys can work it out.
But this is very on par. It's very on par because I feel like we've seen this several times now where he's like, hey, guys, work this out amongst yourselves.
Yeah, Vic's not a great leader.
Yeah, and then Shane will do something fucked up, and then we see Vic coming in all wild-eyed. What did you do?
Also, it's really bad when you have the same thing happen multiple times over where every time he enters a room, you all have to go silent.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine how wanted he wants or how Shane would look at him towards the rest of the group because you don't trust him enough to talk. Why would I trust him to do anything else? It's weird.
Sure. All right, so that'll bring us to episode 5, Mum.
Did you write that as Mom when you first saw it?
No, that one I got right.
All right.
The strike team minus Shane shows up to the hospital where Corrine tells them that Tavon is in bad shape. Vic calls Shane, but he says he might not be able to make it. He and Mara are kind of working on cleaning up the apartment. Danny and Julian respond to a call from a woman who thinks her old boyfriend, who she has a restraining order against, is stalking her, broke into her apartment and stuff. He gets the jump on Julian and runs away. Later, they question the ex-boyfriend who denies being there. They ask Aceveda to put some protection on her. And then later they find him sneaking around her house after dark, and they haul him in. Which I feel like they only put this story in here because no one else was getting arrested this week. So Claudette calls in Vic and asks him to get back to work. Vic thinks that the work she's asking him isn't worthy of the strike team, but she insists. Vic goes over to Shane's. Shane denies that Tavon ever came by and makes up a story for how he got beat up. But of course, you notice that Vic is kind of seeing the apartment and seeing everything out of place and stuff's missing or broken and stuff. And he's slowly putting two and two together.
I just love when I think it's later in the episode, when he goes, what if I just go back in there and look around? Like, is there going to be a picture that says it's not in the same spot, or is a broken frame? Like, he knows something fucking happened and you're going to go down for this. Where'd you punch him? In the back of the head.
I love where he said, I think I hit him with a paperweight. Like, there is no way in hell Shane owns the paperweight.
No. It wasn't the brick. Like, look, I found this paperweight. It's a fucking great. Fuck off. He didn't even know what paperweight. He watched the video before. Like,
he's seen that in a movie. Somebody got hit in there with a paperweight.
Correct.
Meanwhile, Dutch and Claudette are investigating a robbery of an elderly woman, and they suspect that she was raped.
Jesus. They treat old people here terribly.
Well, I mean, it's not like the one guy that left outside with the coyotes chained in the backyard.
I guess that is true.
Claudette questions another woman who was also raped. She's hesitant to say anything, but when her son talks to her, she breaks down and talks about what happened. And then they end up going back to see the first lady, and she's not doing too good. She's just wandering around the house with a gun, and she eventually kind of tells them what happened. So we now have 3 cases of the Cuddler rapist. They go to Aceveda and ask to bring in an expert who's like profiling and stuff, but Aceveda says no because it's too expensive. Vic finds out that Tavon was driving away from Shane's place, and then Shane admits that he did come over and they got in a fight. Corrine tells Vic that it looks like Tavon is going to make it, but there's no way of knowing if he will remember anything. Shane says that no one would believe him, that it was self-defense, so Vic helps Shane and Mara clean up the apartment, and Vic gives Mara a hard time about it, suggesting that she may have to confess in order to save Shane. Vic and Lem sweep the street and make a deal with a guy for information. He gives them info on a guy named Aramis, who is sneaking in contraband into the prison. They stake him out and catch him loading a whole bunch of cartons of cigarettes into his car. They end up grabbing him and the delivery driver to question them. Aceveda has been having his assistant run the numbers of all the money the strike team brings in against a list of marked bills. And she finds 2 that are on that list inside the cash that Aramis had when he was brought in. Which, didn't they say it was like $50,000? So she's got a list of 50,000 numbers she has to go through whenever they bring money.
I mean, technically, you just have to look at the last, last 4, last 3.
Yeah. But yeah, so Aceveda and the Treasury agent question Aramis, and Vic and Lem over in the next room watching on the little TV see them questioning him and realize that the money from the money train has marked bills. Vic and Shane and Ronnie go looking for Dieger. Vic chokes out one of Dieger's men with his own bong in order to get the location. They find Dieger and tell him to send a lawyer to get Aramis out, but it's too late. Aramis has already talked to Aceveda and told him about the money at his apartment. Aceveda goes to Aramis's apartment and finds the money in the freezer. He stays to look around while the Treasury agent takes the bills to go and see if they're marked. While Aceveda's alone, Dieger's men show up at Aramis's apartment looking for the money, and they get the jump on Aceveda and take his gun. They end up tying him up. The guy who Vic choked out with the bong earlier in the episode makes Aceveda gag on something. while the other guy takes pictures.
Something. Huh?
They don't kill him. The strike team shows up and the two guys run. Aceveda doesn't tell any of the cops what happened to him. He's having some trouble concentrating on his duties when he returns to the barn, and the episode ends with him dry heaving in the bathroom.
Well,
So, yeah.
and that whole place knows what happens when Julian arrested that one. When your dick in my mouth makes you extra gay. Like, it would have been bad. Let me tell you, if Aceveda catches that guy, it's going to be the most Vic moment that he ever shares in the entire season. Uncomfortable. Not the most uncomfortable in all the episodes this week, but it was not great. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh fuck, this is gonna be bad." Like, yeah, I don't know. We knew the Bills were. Vic had to find out about the Bills at some point.
Yeah.
I also just feel like that's really easy to like. Back in that time, it's probably easier to get rid of those marked bills more than you think about. Like, like take a vacation somewhere and you can just like blow, like cycle out that cash pretty quickly because not everything has. I don't know. It's just my thought.
Like
process.
these four cops from Los Angeles took millions of dollars on vacation with them.
Yeah, but they wouldn't know. Like it's just weird. I don't know. It seems situational. Like you have to sit there and just read
sure, you
all
can find
the
ways.
numbers.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty close to Vegas. They could just drive over there.
That's what I'm saying. Go to the Indian casino and just run that bitch. Like you're like you either make it or not. But like they have more than.
Shane would fuck that up though. He was like, I went there to launder the money and I lost it all.
You don't send Shane. You don't even talk to Shane.
I mean, they can just go to an overseas casino.
Yeah. It's an okay episode. Not the greatest.
Yeah, it's more setting stuff up for the remainder of the season. Yeah. All right. So that brings us
nothing. You know that. What do
you don't have nothing to talk about Aceveda's most traumatic day on the job.
I mean, I feel like we got it.
Which Vic was indirectly responsible for it. Because if he hadn't gone in there and just fucked that guy up earlier in the episode, might not have happened that way, but who knows? We'll never know.
All right, last episode.
All right, so that brings us to episode 6, Posse Up.
I won't ask you if you...
I might have been hungry when I wrote down the first episode. I don't know. The strike team is looking through the money trying to find marked bills. There are now 5 known Cutler rape cases. Dutch went to the profiler and paid him with his own money, so they have some information on kind of who they're looking for. Aceveda wants to take the info to the press, but Dutch and Claudette aren't ready for that, so he gives them a day to get ready for it.
Mark, were you going to say something about the Cuddler?
I just hate that name. I hate
you don't like the Cutler rapist?
Not at all. What a horrible name. I was gonna hold it in, but
because every time I hear it, I just like I just cuddle. Jail.
I just cuddle with the grandmas. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking worse.
But yeah, so Dutch, he re-interviews the victims, and then Aceveda is still kind of going through it a little bit, so he tells Dutch that he's gonna have to do the press conference. So Dutch gives the press conference, and he kind of goes off script a little bit, says some stuff about the suspect likely being impotent and a few other things in order to try to smoke him out, which actually kind of works a little bit because the reporter gets a call from someone claiming to be the rapist and demanding that the impotence comment be retracted. He tells the reporter to set up a meeting with Dutch to apologize. They end up waiting at the meeting point with cameras, but he doesn't show up. But
I'm a lot of things. I'm not. Take it back.
Felt like something out of The Wire.
Yes.
Claudette looks on the bright side of things and saying that they're learning more and more about him and getting closer to catching him. Meanwhile, Vic shows up at his old house to see the kids and gets a little suspicious that the tutor, Owen, may be sleeping with Corinne because she's just walking around in her underwear. Then at the barn, a detective shows up to question Tommy, Julian's ex-partner. He informs him that his ex-wife and son were found murdered. Aceveda tells him that he can do the questioning there. Tommy says that the previous night he worked late and went home. The detective tells Tommy that his son had previously told the mother that he saw missing coins at his father's place and that she was going to report him for breaking and entering. Vic tells the other officers they need to posse up and find the murderer. Julian goes with Vic to help. They end up going to the crime scene, take a look around, and some of the neighbors tell them that there have been a lot of break-ins in the area and point out a nearby crack house, which Vic goes over there and kind of just looks in the window and says that there's a citizen in need of urgent care and kicks the door in. He talks to the owner, who tells him about a Durante who threatened Tommy's wife when he caught her writing down his license plate, which Julian was able to go and get the license plate number. Danny is upset that Vic isn't doing anything by the book. She tries to get Julian to leave with her, but he ends up staying with Vic. Shane runs the plates and gets the address. Vic and Julian go to question the guy. He tells them that Tommy hired someone to rob his ex-wife's house. Vic goes and talks to Tommy, who tells him that the coins were his father's, and that's why he had the guy steal them. Vic tells him that it looks like the guy ended up going back and killing his ex-wife and his son. So Tommy gives Vic the guy's name. Tommy asks for a lawyer, which I think is the first time in this show we've seen anyone ever ask for a lawyer in that interrogation room. And Aceveda lets him be arrested. Vic
The moment they fucking rip out the camera or whatever, turn off or put something over it, it wouldn't matter. Lawyer, fuck off. No camera. You were never in here.
Vic and Shane track the guy down. Vic tries to talk the guy into killing himself, but he ends up surrendering when more police show up. Shane looks at the Bizlat's money that's in evidence, trying to see if he can see any tracking or anything on it. Trish puts Shane undercover as a gay prostitute for like a 5-minute scene in the middle of all this, and they end up catching the people who have been assaulting and robbing the gay prostitutes. Aceveda's wife brings their daughter by and asks why he hasn't been coming home, and he kind of brushes her off a little bit. Vic helps out around the house, and he asks Corinne about Owen. He tells her that Owen has a record for dealing pot in college, and that he wants him to stay away from Matthew.
What a statement. He did weed. Fuck, okay, he became a teacher. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'll ruin his life.
I don't want him replacing me. Aceveda is up in his office looking at mugshots for the guys who attacked him. And then Vic sees Aceveda put the list of marked bills in his safe. So Vic tells the strike team that they need to find a way to get that list. And that is the end of the episode this week.
Yeah, don't they walk down like stairs like they just took in some money? Go ask him. He's like, sorry, can't help you. Okay, bye. This is like I wouldn't say perfect, but these are like what fillers are.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell that they've added 2 to the slate.
I don't know if those extra episodes were forced upon them, but it feels like they still had 13 episodes and they're just stretching it out.
That's what I'm feeling
15.
like. It's like you're like the show has always been like going down a hill pretty fast. This is like they pulled the e-brake real early. So I'm not gonna fault it. Again, I won't judge you on your middle. You gotta, if the story flows at the end, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But overall, just not a great. 3 episodes for me.
Yeah, I
Mark.
was a little bit. I was a little bit curious, just kind of looking it up, if they did something like AMC kind of did with The Walking Dead, where like they just split up into 2 halves. Doesn't look like they did that. So it's like they just
No.
kind of they added on 2 episodes, just for the hell of it.
They might have been
But
like, "Hey, this show's doing so good. Let's give you 2
Or
more episodes."
we have an extra slot for 2 more.
Yeah.
I guess it's just a weird thing. Like 15 is such a
They go back. This is the only season that does the 15, so they've learned their
I'm waiting for the
lesson.
musical episode.
But yeah, this was probably the best episode they did of this week. I think I kind of liked the side part of the episode, most of what we got. Fuck, I had a thing. I
It's
forgot
gonna
it.
be good. It's gonna be good.
It like it wasn't even to the money. Oh yeah, this is what it was. You know what? I can't help but be on Vic's side a little bit with the teacher thing, just because you know what? If I was Vic, be like, okay, listen,
I'm
this
paying this
guy
guy.
this guy could either dick you down or I can pay him to teach our son. But it's not going to be both. All right. Like,
Fair.
you just got to pick one.
If he's getting that, he should not charge for the lessons.
Yeah.
100%. No, Vic was
Like
maybe on
that's fucked up. All right. He's finishing up his White Claw. He's about to take us to the world of advertising.
Yeah, we're still in the 60s. We'll get there. We'll get spoiler, I guess. Yeah, we're going.
We're getting to the 70s? What the fuck?
Well, not yet.
We're just gonna flash forward 20 years and do a 2000.
I figure we just get to 69 and just repeat it. Like
Yeah,
we
no,
wouldn't travel over.
This not that 70s show where we get
Can't
to
wait till
1979.
Don. I can't wait till Don comes up with another identity for the 70s.
Yeah, well, let's get started. Episode 4, season 3 of The Arrangements. Start out, good old Grandpa Gene, letting Sally drive the car. I'm not sure if they were going to school or they're just going out for a stroll, but whatever. She gets to drive his cool car. So good for her. Peggy is considering moving to Manhattan. Telling her sister about it, and her sister is like, "Well, I don't know how that's gonna go over with Ma." You're gonna tell her that, and she's gonna, go a little nuts with it, but whatever. The company is being pitched this new sport called highlight. I'm not 100% sure really what it is. I don't think it caught on. At least I hope it did. Like, let's just
Isn't that
like
one of the
something
isn't that one of the sports you guys watch all the time?
highlight?
Yeah.
No.
Do not bite. Do not. You fell for the bait. Don't glare at him and move on.
Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway, like, it was the guy who's running it. It's like some rich guy. He's got a lot of money and he doesn't mind spending it. And you know what? There's a lot of sharks in that boardroom, and they definitely smell blood in the water. As Don said after the meeting, during the Depression, I saw someone throw a loaf of bread off the back of a truck. That was more dignified.
The funny thing is, I'm pretty sure somebody's doing the same thing with pickleball right now. So who knows?
Could be. Yeah, so Don doesn't feel good about it, especially since this highlight guy is connected to Burt Cooper. It's like, we got at least because his dad is connected to Burt Cooper. Let's at least talk to him, see how he feels about us, taking money off of this naive idiot, and we'll see where we go from there. Gene gives Betty a book about his arrangements. And yeah, Betty just doesn't want to read any of it, and even though Gene is like, "Listen, I'm old, so we got to get to this." So just look it over. This tells you everything. Don then appoints Sal to direct the Bye Bye Birdie commercial after the guy who I guess was supposed to do it quit on them. So Salvatore gets to do something else. Then we see Don get mad at Gene for trying to give his son a soldier's helmet. Said, "Hey," which I did not realize also too that old Grandpa Gene like shot a guy in it. like where he's showing Bobby the hole in which the bullet went through.
It's a dead man's
And
hat.
like, yeah, dead man's hat. And then, yeah, and then we get into, what could have been like a really sexy scene where, Kitty, Salvatore's wife, comes in and says, "Hey, how come you're not noticing me anymore? Like it's been a rough couple months." And he's like, "I don't know, things in my job, I think things are going away, but hey, I get to do this commercial, so maybe I get a little bump in the world." It's like, "Oh, what kind of commercial are you doing?" It's that Bye Bye Birdie thing. And he's like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Hey, why don't I show you?" And she then gets a horrified look, like not knowing what is going on, maybe realizing that her husband
Uh,
may be hiding truths.
yeah, he bats for the other team, and she found out very scared. Like that face, that's some facial acting. Like that was real good because I was sitting there, I was like, yeah,
Sorry to break it to
you found out the same that everybody else. Like we knew for a while when he did that towards her, like bye bye bird. I was like, yeah. You just see her whole face change. Yeah,
He's just getting in
like,
character. That's all.
I mean, he almost got blown by a bellhop. Like he's ready for.
I mean,
Also,
I think
very attractive wife. Like he just doesn't like that. In his world, he couldn't. Elton John married a woman too. Like you just in that time, socially acceptable things were just you couldn't do it. So I don't have like no hard feeling. It sucks for him because he's literally caught and he's about to lose his wife. Or they're
Hey,
about to go
Julian
fix
is
a car.
struggling with the same thing in 2001, 2002 time period. So
Yeah.
hey, that's
Crazy times.
well, like I'm sure that will end fine. So Don Burton Lane then talked to the highlight guy's dad, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. He got a whole bunch of money, and he's, if he's gonna give it to anybody, I guess it could be you guys. So you're good. Take his money. It's cool." Uh, Peggy, huh? Oh yeah, Peggy was trying to look for a roommate. She put up an ad in the office, and then a couple of jokesters, in there, couldn't help but give her a prank call, of you know trying to find a roommate. Peggy didn't appreciate that too much.
Who is this?
Caller ID just ruined all the good fun in the world.
Oh, hell yeah. One of the
And then we got Gene and Sally having a nice moment eating some ice cream. That's all fine and good. Don, what?
He put salt on his fucking ice cream. I was out. I
Like
was like,
what? It's sweet. It's sweet and salty. Okay, like you never had the pretzels in your ice cream.
That's different. That's another food. I'm not just putting cholesterol on top of my ice cream and just downing it. Jesus, I'm a big guy, but let's be real. I draw the line somewhere.
I mean, it's not like it had a negative impact on his health or anything.
Yeah, I mean, like whatever. Like he's not putting a bunch of it. He's putting a little dab. Well, that is weird if you go into a Baskin Robbins, ask for like "Hey, you guys got any salt?"
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, where's your
Yeah.
salt shakers? We're an ice cream store? The fuck does that mean? I killed a guy. I killed a guy in this country. Give me a fucking salt shaker.
And Don thought he'd do his due diligence. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna try one more time to talk this highlight guy out of doing business with us. And man, that guy, like, he thought Don was trying to do a sales tactic. He's like, nope, not gonna get me this time. I'm still gonna do the deal. So
If we lose money, it's your fault. The fuck? Okay, sure.
okay, all right. Sure, that check will cash. It'll be good. They ultimately sign him. And then
And then
Joe.
fucking Pete was like, "That seems fair to me." Shut the fuck up, Pete. You stupid bitch. God,
What? Like he got it early on. He's like, listen, this guy wants to give us his money. Like, why are we stopping him? This is gonna make him happy just to give us money.
I mean, Pete did his job. I'll give him that.
Anyway, yeah, Joan gives Peggy some advice on her roommate ad and trying to make herself sound more fun, and also not call herself Margaret. I don't know what she was doing that for. Everybody knows her as Peggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Gene tells Sally he doesn't want to wait for her, like when he has to take her to ballet, as he was taking her to school that morning. Also mentioned something about getting some peaches or oranges or whatever. Like he wanted to get some fruit, so he's going to the supermarket later. Uh, Peggy then meets a potential roommate. Uh, Maybe it'll work out. I don't know. Like just so she can get to Manhattan. She doesn't have to spend all her money commuting. Uh, Gene never came to pick up Sally and Bobby. Good old Betty had to do it. They were just kind of sitting there, just waiting. And Betty seemed kind of annoyed about it. Uh, we then finally get this Bye Bye Birdie commercial, and these patio guys were like, I don't know, I just don't like it. I don't know what it is. Like, but nice try, guys. But it's exactly what we asked for. But it is what it is. And then Roger is like, yeah, I know why you didn't like it. It wasn't Anne Margaret. Sorry, we couldn't get Anne Margaret to do your patio ad. Then, what do you know? Afterwards, Sally sitting out on the porch of the house. She sees a policeman come by. He goes up to tell her and Betty that Gene was at the supermarket. He collapsed and he died there. So, fortunately, Gene's stay at the Draper household will be a short one. Sad. Excuse me. Sad. Don then tells Salvatore that even though the Bye Bye Birdie commercial didn't go the way he wanted to, he still thinks he did good work and he will potentially use him for more commercial work. So good
How do
for
you know that?
Salvatore.
You'll know when I hire you next.
We can be on the lookout for that.
And then, Peggy then tries to do a good thing. She's like, she sees her mom, messing with the TV. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy you a TV. Oh, and by the way, mom, I'm moving to Manhattan. And she's like, the fuck? Like what like what? You don't want to you hate me or something? Like why
You're
not
gonna
want
get raped in the city.
You think I'm stupid? You're gonna get raped. You think I'm stupid?
I've read about that,
TV.
Cutler.
Take the TV. Yeah. Yeah, I'll look in and just remember how stupid you think I am.
I like how she leaves and then you just hear the TV pop on. It's like,
It's like, 'cause I didn't know if that was in the episode or not.
Yeah.
Because the very next thing it edits in where Sally is underneath the table watching television, and I didn't know if it was like this editing that they did. But no, I assume that's what she fucking did.
Yeah.
Just turn it off as soon as she Yeah, you'll like the boob tube because she's like beating the shit out of the one earlier in the episode. Just like,
Apparently that's not good for her. Who knew?
yeah. Well,
tell that to all my TVs growing up when it's like, fucking idiot. Yeah.
oh yeah, we do end go to Sally, not Sally. Betty's brother comes over. They're reminiscing about Gene, and Sally does, I guess, unaware.
Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
This is sad.
He's dead.
They haven't taught her that laughter is the best medicine yet. Like they haven't got it. Yeah, so she falls asleep all sad, and Don puts up the room that Gene was in, and that brings us to the end of the arrangements. What do you got?
You ever watch an episode and know someone's dying? That was this episode.
Yeah.
The moment that he kept like how the Sopranos worked the previous episode, it's like, or instantly they had to do that one, but it was like first scene out of the gate, felt out of place. What the fuck are we doing? Oh, she's dead. This one, very similar. It's like, why is he getting this much screen time? Why are we building up so much relationship between him and Sally right now? And I was like, oh, he's dying at the end of this. Like, he's gonna die. And if it wasn't this episode, it was going to be like the next episode or something. I just assumed and saw it coming. That didn't stop it from being a good episode. It was just like I knew the ending before the ending came. Because I'm smarter than everybody. That's all I'm gonna say. But overall, I thought it was a really good episode. I love the Peggy coming to Manhattan because I think that's just gonna unlock a whole different side of her character. Because it's always like she's always been the stuck in between character, and you know how the women are in Manhattan. Like she's about to be a floozy. Yeah. Little did you know she had a baby. But that's besides the point.
Hey, if it means no more Colin Hanks, it's a good thing.
The fucking amen. No fully pun intended. But no, I like the episode. I again, this show, again, I've said numerous times, surprised the fuck out of me of how much I actually enjoy this. How I didn't think I would like this show as much, and it's my favorite show of the three that we do. But like every side character and their story is just as interesting as Don Draper and like Peggy's story, which is credit to the writing because they could have made me try to care. Like I'm interested. I don't care, but I'm interested in what happens with Pete and his wife, Salvador and his wife. Like that whole complex. So maybe the only one I don't give an actual fuck about is like the other head of sales because I never remember his name. I still don't know how he got the fucking job. He doesn't do anything, but he has got a job. Like at least Campbell has been there. Campbell's
This
been
is
in
their
things.
attempt at
This
giving
guy
him
is-
something to do.
This guy looks like he'd fill the water jug. I don't know why he's ever there, but he's there. He's the only one I don't really give a fuck about, but the rest is just it's such a smart written show. And all we're in is 60s and advertising, and I'm like I've watched episodes once and I can pull dialogue like that, and that's just credit to everything about the show. So Mark may have missed at points with The Wire, but let me tell you, fucking home run with Mad Men.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think this is good. I like that they didn't drag out the Gene. I think they could have another show could have easily had him living with them the whole season and drug that out. So I'm happy they got that done. I really like the highlight
Well,
stuff.
he's fucking dead. God damn it!
Yeah,
Ice cream salt eating motherfucker, get out of here.
You notice it was the fruit that killed him, not the salt in the ice cream. So.
That's true. In and out, like a potty. Dead.
But yeah, I like the highlight stuff too. It's interesting seeing Don like actually like kind of like care about a client because I'm sure most other clients is like, well, hey, they're gonna pay me. I'm just gonna do it. So I'm gonna give them the best job that I can do. So that was interesting. But yeah, good episode.
It's like we tried. Like I'm telling you what I think. You didn't fuck it. I guess whatever. But we're trying.
Yeah, I always forget like how little Gene is actually at the house. Like I honestly thought it was a bit more. It's like just two
A little
episodes,
Gene
really.
goes a long way.
Side note, what I want to bring up. The one thing that I'm so conflicted on with the show is Jane's storyline.
Joan.
Not Jane, Joan. Because how we just bounce back and forth with that is just, it doesn't feel right. Like, she doesn't want, like, it's almost like she's getting with this guy because she feels like that's how the world's supposed to work for her.
Status.
But, like, we have this horrible scene that happened is it in this season? Or is it
It was
last
in the season, yeah. I think.
this season, and then she's playing an accordion and she's doing a little shit, and like she's working normal. But wait, I don't get enough touch base. When Pete goes home, Pete's an asshole. And I get to know the assholes at home. Her, and I guess that may come, but I'm saying right now they're dropping the ball on that development because I think she's a great actress, and I would like to see where that I would like to see her conflict of what she's dealing with because she's living with a monster technically. Like, I would say after that moment, you can't.
I mean,
get
we
redeemed.
would say, I don't know if back then at that time frame.
I know that's weird. It's just weird. Like, hey, play the fucking accordion and like let's sing and shit and like.
Mhm.
Why are we not getting enough her in these episodes? That's my question.
Let's take a pin in that. I do think I think there is something there that actually will probably come up like later on as
That's
we
her.
later on. But
Again, this is just me talking of somebody that's never seen the show, so I'm just speaking from my viewpoints because I don't know what's coming.
no, well, they were good there. We can move on to the next episode to go to the fog. The fog. I know there's never mind. Hey, let's start out. Sally's teacher calls in Betty and Dawn because Sally got into a fight at her school, and they're saying like, yeah, probably because my Grandpa Gene, yeah, he just died. He's going through some stuff, and then the teacher felt kind of bad about it. It's like, ah, shit, I didn't know that. That's why she's asking me about all this death and stuff. I didn't know what to tell her. Like, yeah, it's fine. Just like we'll figure it out. Like, make sure she doesn't bully this kid anymore. I guess. Uh, Lane then talks in the boardroom about potential waste, and everybody's kind of annoyed about it, and is like, hey, why do you give a fuck how much paper we use or whatever? But Lane just wants to keep it ship shape. Um, Pete notices a trend in like these Admiral TVs. It's like, hey, like I don't know, whatever, like some people, in these, Kansas City, Detroit or whatever, like buying Admiral TVs and more like it's something I should look into. So Pete now is on a mission. Um, then Don tells Lane, hey, not to worry about the creative expenses because he's still giving him a hard time about throwing this money away or whatever. Pete then gets a call from Duck. Get a Duck sighting this episode, and he's like, "Hey, uh, why don't you have lunch with me? Like, I got something that I want to talk to you about." He's like, "All right, go ahead and do it." Uh, and then Dawn then gets like this really weird drunken phone call from Sally's teacher. Just apologizing for how she's acting and like like understanding what Sally's going through. And it's just we just kind of feel the beginnings of the some like flirtatious energy on the phone, and it is also right before he has to take Betty to the hospital. She's in labor, and and I guess just slipped Don's mind of that the teacher called. Don didn't say anything. Sure, that's not going to come back.
To be fair, Betty left him alone with the teacher at the beginning of the episode, so she's pretty much put it in motion.
Fuck yeah, that's right. Her fault. Damn it. Yeah, they get Betty to the hospital, and what do you know? Betty, just starts, seeing some shit. She thinks she sees, her dad, being the old janitor, in the hospital. Yeah, starts calling out to him, whatever. Don then meets another guy. He's in the waiting room. He ends up having a drink with him because the guy wasn't sure he needed to bring a bottle or whatever. He starts talking to him. Starts talking about his job being a prison guard, and Don's asking him what's that like. Uh, Betty isn't told like her doctor isn't coming. She starts seeing like a bunch of weird shit. She's like walking through the neighborhood, and she's hearing like the fucking classical music in the background. She's like slightly losing her mind. uh she's also going through a pretty rough time delivery. The actual real world's like not doing well to her. Like nobody it like, I don't know how it is in the delivery room, but everybody's like, hey, I know you're pregnant and everything, but just let us take you through this. But we'll get you out of this, all right? But don't give us a hard time. uh the guy in the waiting room is then hears that he got a baby boy. His wife seems like he's doing fine, so he's all happy. Um, and then of course,
Bro moment in the fucking thing. I was like, God.
Betty sitting there, still not doing well in the delivery table. And then she has another hallucination. She starts talking to her dead parents, and I mean, and some other guy like who's
That's
beating up
some
bloody. Like,
fucking
what is that?
Tony. That's some fucking Tony Soprano fucking vision she's having. It's fucking wild. And by the way, I don't believe childbirth in 2025's great. Fucking 60s looks like a fucking horror film. I just want that on the record.
I'm
I'm
surprised
fucking
the
out.
doctors and the nurses weren't smoking the whole time.
Oh my god, they all look like if somebody just pulled a chainsaw out at one point, I wouldn't fucking bat an eye. It would have made sense. I was just like, ah, everything looks dirty. It's not dirty, but it looks dirty. I was out. And that's my worst nightmare. Being stuck in a room with a guy you don't know, and he just all he wants to do is fucking chit chat with you the entire time. I would be, and that I guess Don doesn't have anything to do because he doesn't have a phone or anything like that. But like, God, that's where I go to the car and put a gun in my mouth. Like it's over. Like I'm fucking done. Single parent right now.
And then the guy's like kind of egging him on to ask him about his job, and then when he finally does, it's like,
He's like,
"Oh, you finally, you really want to know about my job?"
I'm like, oh, fuck off. No, we don't.
Everyone's always asking.
The only reason Don's really talking to you is because you pulled a bottle out. And he's like, fuck yeah, let's go. You brought the H2O to my body. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Proceed, sorry, Mark.
Yeah, after all that, Betty doesn't have the baby. And what do you know? She wants to call the baby Jean. I thought, hey, had a Jean die, let's bring another Jean in the world. And Don is like, hey, why don't we stick a pin in that? We'll figure this one out later.
Don does not know how to read the room well. Dad just like, damn, fucking no. You've always hated that name. The fuck, he's an awful man. Like, I didn't like. So funny.
Don then returns to work and finds out that not much has been done. Like since he's not there, he is the boss. Peggy also gets an invite to Duck's lunch. And he wants to offer both of them jobs, saying, hey, we can get something going here. Like, I know you guys are together. You guys have this little groove thing. Like, you helped her out get that job with the Freddie Rumsen thing. I think you guys work together as a team, so, like, Duck, let's say he's seeing some potential there. And then Pete, I think he wants to do a little bit of market research on himself. And he notices like, you know what? A lot of black people, for whatever reason, are buying these Admiral TVs. You know who I can talk to you about that? The elevator attendant. Let me just ask the elevator attendant, hey, why do you have an Admiral TV? It's okay. It's not going to bother your job. Just tell me why you got an Admiral TV. And, he's just not having any of it. He's like, can I just like take you up to the floor? Like, I don't even know why I bought the TV. Okay, let's just not worry about it.
He's like, I don't want to sound like a bigot or anything, even though,
Hey, buddy, you sounded just like what you said you don't. Yeah. Just put that on the record. Not doing well here.
Don then takes the rest of the kids to see Betty and the new baby. I also think at some point, somewhere in this, she also signed the birth certificate that the baby's name will be Jean. So, Don will love seeing that when he gets to it. Pete then finds himself in a boardroom. He then unleashes his strategy for the Admiral TVs in front of the Admiral people. Say, hey, you can buy of all these cheaper, ad spots like in these in kind of these black media here. Won't cost you that much more, and you'll sell a bunch more TVs. Does that sound good? And the Admiral TV people were like, no. And they did not like the idea. Pete seems dumbfounded. Like, he doesn't know what the hell's going on. One guy in the room is like, yeah, integrate. I don't know. Is that against the law? So yeah, that was the time we were living in the 60s. Peggy then gets Don a baby gift. She also asks for a raise, and Don says, "Hey, Peggy, they were just firing a bunch of people. Now's not a good time to ask for a fucking raise. They may think they can downsize a little bit more. You want some more money." Pete then gets worried that Peggy told Don about their meeting with Duck, so he's getting a little bit gun shy here. Pete is then called into a meeting with what was it, Bert, Roger, and Lane, and they say, "Hey, yeah, those Admiral people were not happy that you suggested this new strategy." Uh, Roger's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna need to pretend I had you killed. So maybe not do that again."
I love Roger's like, the flogging is never as good as you think it'll be.
Yeah. Then
So
what do you?
funny.
Then yeah, what do you know? Betty does return home with baby Jean. Their new life starts together, and she hears the classical music as she wakes up at night to handle the baby. So that is the end of the fog. Okay, episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So in like in
Weakest
the
of the one so far.
the hospital hallway where he sees like the other guy and his wife, and like he won't even like look up at him. Are we supposed to think that like their baby didn't make it? That's kind of what I took from that.
Wasn't he holding a baby? Was she
No,
holding a
no,
baby?
it was he was pushing the wife in the wheelchair, and there was no baby there.
Oh, I
And
didn't notice
he
that.
wouldn't he would he when Don like walked up, he looked down. He wouldn't look Don in the eye. So that's what I thought, but they didn't really say anything with that, so I don't know. But yeah,
I did not notice that. I thought you were.
my favorite part of the episode was that the staff meeting at the very beginning where Don is late, and then as soon as Lane starts talking about the misuse of office supplies, Don just gets up and walks out.
It's like you're tracking down things that just don't matter at all.
It's like my time is too important for this meeting.
We need to be united. We need to make sure blah blah blah. All this stuff. Is like,
All right.
I have no interest in this at all.
Oh yeah, I did like the Pete stuff. That was funny. He tries, he tries to open a new strategy, and then everybody just I guess hated money or something. So,
This may go over your guys' head, or you may understand exactly where I'm coming from. You ever watch the 2004 movie Mean Girls?
Mhm.
And they're like, Fetch, stop trying to make Fetch happen. Hey, Mark, stop trying to make Pete happen. It ain't gonna happen. Sorry. With
He
all
still got
due
like three
respect.
and a half seasons to try to make it happen.
No, probably
what?
not.
What?
At this
Like
point, I
Pete was
don't.
right though. He was right, and they didn't want to hear it. Okay, like it just you got to know.
At this point, he should have a full redemption arc. But he could save
At
children
least,
from
at least
fires.
Pete knows one black person he can go talk to about these things.
That's what I'm saying. He's not rude to his wife. He's rude to black people. He's not rude to black. He's trying to undercut Don. If he's not trying to undercut Don, he's trying to sleep with the lady to return the chip in death. He's probably killed a person with a chicken that flew from the 12th story of a building.
At
That's
night,
who
he
he
hunts
is.
people in the office with his rifle.
Yeah, he buys a rifle. He brought his wife into the room and flips over the cushion where he just plowed Peggy. Like, what are we talking
Well,
about?
that was gentlemanly of him. He didn't let her sit on it.
Yeah.
So
Fuck off, guys. Like, he could save a person from a fire. I'm like, why didn't he die in the fire? Like, that's what I'm going to be like.
Oh, I don't know. We'll get there. We got a long way with Pete. Let's get into the best episode of this lineup. Aptly named, Guy walks into an advertising agency. So then we go in there. The office is told that they are going to get a visit from the chairman from PPL on the eve of the 4th of July. So everybody's very unhappy. They got to work on the 3rd. And then also Joan. It's Joan's last days, and they were gonna plan a going away party, and everybody's like, "Ah, shit, this kind of stretch. We got to figure out how to move these plans." Bert is starting to theorize though that hey, like this new move, could mean big things for you, Don. Like maybe you're gonna have a creative umbrella where you're going back and forth from London to New York. Could be the thing. Yeah, you better get ready for that, Don. But before that, he wants Roger and Don to make up. he's tired of seeing them do all this stuff. He sets up this mandate with them going to a barber shop, and he's getting a shave, and you know I don't know what Roger is there doing. Like I guess he's like
He's
getting
getting his nails done.
like I have never seen that before at a barber shop. Never before. I don't know what barbershop were like. Barbershops are like in the '60s. They seem to put at least on somewhat put their matters to rest. Where like Don is like, don't worry, I won't bring up you sleeping with my former secretary. We don't have to talk about that anymore. It's cool.
I won't bring up the black face. None of it.
That seemed to be on the back burner on Don's part. Ken also returns from the office. He had just brought in John Deere. He then rides in the office on a lawnmower to boast his big win. They're saying that, hey, we're well, good timing because the PPL guys are coming over. So he got this old John Deere count at just the right time. Mr. Hooker then goes to tell the secretaries and Joan about something, and then just mildly ruins her surprise party. And then Joan is like, hey, you're kind of an asshole, and don't call me when you fuck things up a week after I leave. And oh yeah, yeah, I made a note here of because Joan, her husband comes back after tells her he didn't get the promotion. She's wearing just what is that dress? I mean, come on, like just try, like what are they doing to us? Like, but yeah, he didn't get the promotion. He's like, and they were telling him, hey, he's probably not going to be a surgeon anywhere in New York. He's probably got to move. And also, yeah, Joan, you probably got to go to work. And she's like, well, I already quit. He's like, well, then just get another fucking job. It doesn't matter. Like, you can work anywhere. Definitely uh, did not sit well with Joan. Uh, Sally also appears to be like afraid of something and can't really put finger on it. It's not sure, what it is, but she can't sleep, at night, and something with whatever. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it'll come to be a little bit later. The chairman, Guy McKendrick, from PPL shows up. He gives, he makes a grand announcement, and he seems to give everybody like the same compliment that he's heard of them, and like he thinks they're a good fellow or whatever. So he definitely seems like a very people person, as you say. Uh, and after meeting him, Don seems unsure, like what's going to happen. He doesn't know really what's going on. Nobody really knows like the nature of their meeting until they go and meet with Lane. And the PPL people tell Lane, hey, guess what? Guy's going to stay here. He's going to take over. He's going to be kind of our guy to run things like from now on. And you, my good man, are going over to Bombay. And he's like, but I don't want to go to Bombay. He's like, well, we need you over there in Bombay. So, why don't you just go over and settle this up for us? And he's like, well, I don't know how to explain this to my wife. And I was like, you'll figure it out, buddy. Like you'll do okay. So then in the lunch meeting, they then go over all the new stuff, and Bert, just well, Don realizes that he's not getting promoted. It still says creative director and like whatever. And but Bert notices that Roger's name isn't even on the hierarchy, and then it's like, oh well, we can change that. They just write in Roger's name. There's like, there you go, all fixed. Like there he is. And after all that, Harry Crane is like, oh, I don't understand what happened. Then Pete is like, well, uh, they just reorganized everything again, and you got a promotion. He's like, really? Yeah. So good job, guy. Uh, Betty then gives Sally a gift from baby Jean. And like Sally is like, what are you talking about? Jean can't write. It's like, no, this is from him. Don't worry about it. She gets her
Sound
Barbie.
logic.
Although she's a little bit suspicious looking at the Barbie. She doesn't know like what's what's coming from this thing. The rest of the office is then informed by the leadership change. and it then leads to Joan's going away party. Guy McKendrick, offers some, parting words to Joan, and yeah, she starts crying. Definitely a lot of mixed emotions. I think nobody really knows what exactly she's crying about, but uh, we're all kind of sad. During the party, Dawn then gets a call from Conrad Hilton, the the CEO, the head of the Hilton, hotel people. Uh, he was like they wanted to figure out when he wanted to meet, and Don was like, "Hey, how about right now?" He's like, "Sure, we can meet with you right now." So Don then leaves the party early. Joan and Peggy are kind of having like a nice little parting talk. Peggy is trying to thank her for everything she did, and Joan was like, like you did it, but I think I definitely helped. And then while that's going on, everybody around there just starts dicking around with that John Deere lawnmower. And we then see Don's old secretary starts to give the whole thing a ride. And, I guess, when these older lawnmowers, they don't have that function to, to not have the blades going. Because it turns out the blades were going in this office, and she drives right over Guy McKendrick's foot, sprays blood all over like a bunch of guys. She crashes this lawnmower into the office, and this guy is screaming bloody murder, like his fucking toes are all cut up, like everything, like just completely changes, in just a second. Joan has the one that actually has a good head on the shoulders, like fixes a tourniquet, tries to get that dumb bitch out of there. Is like, hey, like maybe like don't have her freaking out in front of the guy. But yeah, everybody is didn't know what was going on, and I'll just say this right now: I'm usually a glutton for these type of things. I usually rewind these types of scenes no fewer than 3 times. I could not get enough of this scene. Uh, anyway, Don does go to meet with Conrad Hilton. Turns out he was the guy that he met at Roger's wedding. Yeah, he had a drink with him, and Don is delighted to see him again. He asked some advice on his ads. Yeah, because Connie had like some dumb idea where he had some mouse touring his hotels or whatever. Don said, "Yeah, that's fucking stupid." Uh, but give me a shot, and I can give you something. His meeting is though interrupted by an urgent call from the office. Don't know what that's going to be. Everybody's back at the office. They're kind of freaking out. Uh, they don't really know what's going to happen. They think they're going to get shut down because a guy got his fucking foot cut off in the office. Roger then comes in and is like, Jesus, looks like Iwo Jima out there. Like, then he then also puts things to wrestling. Don't worry, guys. Somewhere out there, this has happened. Like, don't worry. Like, somebody's gotten their foot cut off in the office. Not just us. Uh, Don does meet Joan at the hospital. Uh, she's still a little bit shook up, but they are telling her that Guy's gonna live. So good for that. The PPL people didn't come back and said, yeah, he's gonna be fine. Definitely gonna lose the foot. But yeah, he can't be an account man anymore. His days are done. It's like, what? And then Don is like, well, what are you talking about? It's like, no, no, no. This guy's gonna be a footless freak who can't even golf. Like, there's no way he can
He'll
be
never
the
play golf again.
yeah. There's no way he can be like the head account man. He's done. Uh, Don then gets back home. He finds a Barbie in the bushes. He's like, oh, Sally just left us out here. Let me just put this on like her little nightstand or whatever. He's getting ready for bed, and then she just starts screaming bloody murder. He's like, what the hell is going on? And like, and she just starts screaming and screaming and screaming. And then, of course, like she wakes the baby up. Betty comes in with the baby, and Sally just starts screaming more and more. And it's like, well, what's going on? And Betty's like, this fucking bitch, why is she screaming so much? So she woke up the baby. And then, finally Sally just tells like Don's like fucking Jean is in that baby. I don't know how I can explain it, but she's in that baby. Like, and she brought back the toy. Like there's some weird shit going on here. And then Don just kind of calms down. Don't worry, it's okay. And then Don goes over to Betty. He's like, I don't know why you named the baby Jean. Okay, I don't know what you're doing here. You're freaking out everybody. You're freaking out your daughter. He's like, well, you never liked my dad. What the fuck is wrong with you? He's like, what? He was a mean old man. He never liked me anyway. we all get calmed down here. Don then has one last moment. He's holding the baby. Has Sally come in, and I think she at least now understands that this baby is not Grandpa Gene. It's just her little brother. Everything will be all right. And yeah, that is the end. A guy walks into an advertising agency.
This is the goofiest episode that Mad Men has ever done. It's the only one that I'm just like, well, can this end anytime? I was checked out. Like,
Oh.
it wasn't a bad episode, but it was like slapstick comedy where it just like I have so many questions about how they got a lawnmower up to that floor in the building,
In the
and
elevator.
I don't get not a
He
fucking
wrote it in there.
chance.
It's like, all right, take me up to the 25th floor,
Well,
please.
listen, if you're gonna try to convince me that it was in a hospital elevator that fit a whole bed, I've been in those elevators. There's no fucking way that the thing she drove is fitting in there. Whatever.
Some assembly required.
Yeah, fuck off. The dumbest woman in the office got to ride the thing. Everybody that had guy that had his foot even close to where this woman was riding is one of the dumbest human beings ever.
Maybe we established that early
It was
on.
so unmadman like when it hit the foot. I was like, I didn't know it hit the foot. I thought it like hit like some food or like something and sprayed on them. I was like, no, it's a fucking foot. Mark, I mean this with all due respect. You need to go talk to somebody. You need to go see some fucking help. Because if you're rewinding this 3 times, you need help. You need some help. And then the baby shit, like it was like Mad Men lost a bet with Saturday Night Live. And the writer showed up for a day and the other writers. Like, it was weird. It didn't feel like Mad Men. Just didn't at all.
It's definitely a different episode. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Which, I mean, take your risk, do something different, but it's the basketball episode of The Shield. It's episode of Mad Men.
I mean, I liked it. I liked how pretty much they had everything like turned upside down for them, and then like 10 minutes later it gets turned upside down again. And I love the meeting with Don and the Hilton guy. I love where the Hilton guy's like, well, what do you want, Don? Is like, well, I'd like a crack at your business. And he was like, next time someone with my power asks you that question, you might want to think on your answer a little more.
I feel like Don also had a good response to that too. He's like, listen, like snakes, they eat a mouse and they suffocate because like they're so hungry. I just want to look at a thing at a time. Listen, that's just me. All right. Mountain and the Viper, that particular episode, I think I maybe spent like a whole episode just rewinding and starting to get. I could not get enough of that moment. That's just the way I am.
BetterHelp.com.
That's a to be continued conversation one of these days.
This episode's great. Like I can't get enough of this one. And also just real quick, like you're bringing up Joan. I think at least with her, she is kind of she is a person that I think kind of wants to have like the normal kind of 60s like kind of life of like I do want to start a family, or like this is something like it's kind of at least they say I should do, but she also wants to have that career, and she likes having like this part in the office and knowing like she's like respected, which is why she kind of like breaks down in that moment. I think it's also kind of why like she also resents like the guy too for making her quit, and now like she just has to start anew somewhere else, and like I think at least that's like the whole like where they're going with like her character. Like she is somebody who she's kind of meant to go on the track of she's going the more traditional route, although she wants to stick it out, and like kind of she's constantly put in a situation where like she isn't really able to.
Yeah. All right, you guys want to go to New Jersey?
Yeah, let's go to Jersey.
Yeah. Go to the turnpike.
Employee of the month. Episode 4. Episode starts up with the Russian girl calling Tony, and Tony's like, "Why don't you never fucking call this number again? I miss you, Tony." It doesn't matter. This time Carmela didn't find out. Dr. Jennifer is battling with where it is with Tony, like where he's stopped having panic attacks. He doesn't know where the next step is, but he still is fearful of like what could happen. So she's like trying to figure out a way to remove him from the thing, to move him on to somebody else for like behavioral specialist. She finally tells Peter Bogdanovich that it's Tony Soprano. Like, I thought it was another. I thought it was Junior. Basically, I thought it was somebody else. Like, oh, but you finally told me, which breaks the confidentiality. Tony shows up at Janice's house, says, "Hey, we need that fucking leg back." And then Janice is like, "No, like I need the records, and like it's into Mom's soul." And Tony's like, "Cut the fucking shit. You just want to sell the shit. Like, knock it off." Ralph gets more of a part. He is sitting there talking to Richie's nephew. About like working with Christopher and like trying to keeps him close, where he ends up running a job with Ralph, which Tony has made it very abundantly clear that he does not want him involved in the family, because he wants him out. Like, he doesn't want him to have the same life. After he had that meal with him, they go to visit a guy for the trash routes. And the guy's like, "Didn't you get the message? Like, we can be an hour, we can be late on this because we had hydraulics goes out." No one told me. They beat the shit out of him, bloody him up pretty bad, and rough him up. Tony meets with Ralph and is like, "Hey, you're getting taken off the trash route. Like, I know I fucked up about the guy, but listen, like it ain't personal. It's business, and I can't have you. You're too much of a hothead." Dr. Jennifer tells him how behavioral analysis finally times, says, "Hey, we need to move on." One of the most uncomfortable scenes that I've watched in a long time. She gets raped on a stairwell by this guy, and he is adamant. No cover his face, nothing, like just full on, just doesn't give a fuck. So that's a major story of this, where they're investigating, they're trying to hunt the guy down to find out who did it. Carmela gets a phone call from Dr. Jennifer, basically tells her that she can't visit him because she got hurt her knee in a car accident. And then Tony's like, "What the fuck am I gonna do?" Like, blah blah. And then Carmela's frustrated because she's like, "You're still having a panic attack. You're still doing this. What the fuck's the good for her?" So maybe, don't you know she's trying? Don't you know there's more to this than anything? Jennifer is back with her ex-husband, I believe it was, or like whatever that was. They're back together. And he's like taking power, like getting phone calls from the detective that they had to let the one guy that they thought had him. And she's like, "What the fuck you talking about?" And like, he's like keeping her at a distance. And then she finally says, "Can I have the fucking phone? Like, give me the phone. Let me talk to him." And she's like, "We can't hold him for this." And she's like, "How do I just go about my life?" Not knowing that she's literally got the mob boss like sitting across, like the ultimate kind of protection that she access, but she can't cross that line. New Jersey's reforming their basically a part of the town. They're giving $25 million to invest to go back to the part of town that's really run down. So Tony's got an idea about that. Christopher and Tony meet in the basement to talk. I think it's about his nephew, the nephew. And he's like, "I don't want him in it. I don't care. Like, there's nothing. He will not get a job with me." Like, there's a little. I agreed. I couldn't get the real clear audio on it. Jennifer's having Dr. Jennifer's having, when she's walking down that stairwell and like seeing she's having a hard time adjusting. She meets with Tony. And she's not like herself during the meeting. Pretty rough. Tony basically talks to Richie's nephew and is like, "Hey, like, sorry, like you can't run with Ralphie. You can't run with the game. Like you got to stop stepping into the things, but you're not. I can't have you part of it." Um, Dr. Jennifer goes to a restaurant and sees the face of the guy there. Um, Janice is met with two guys from Ukraine, the Ukraine guy, to get said leg back. And she's like, "No, you don't understand." She gets punched in the face. I'm just like,
Oh, poor Janice.
and then she goes and gets the leg out. She goes, "You guys are nasty people. We're nasty people. You're nasty people. Like, you stole a leg. What is wrong with you? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" It isn't the Sopranos if we don't have a fucking vivid dream sequence that happens. Janice is like tied to the like stuck in a soda machine, and she can't get out. Well before the dryer, like I was like, "Oh my god, this is just awkward as fuck."
Like Sopranos, did they invent that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Porno director, watch this. I got an idea. But overall, he ends up getting attacked by a dog, like brutalized, and so that's how the dream ends. Tony meets Janice in the hospital. So you could have just gave the fucking leg back. Like, so he's mad at her, and Ralphie is rubbing the rest of the group raw. Like it was one thing to be doing it to Tony. Now Walnuts and Silvio and like they're starting to get irritated with how he's like talking to everybody about it. Episode ends where Dr. Jennifer is breaking down, having an emotional reaction to what's going on. Tony goes, "You want to say something? You want to tell me something?" And he's like, "No." Episode ends. So, pretty hard stuff to happen in this, but overall, I think it's a good episode. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, solid episode. I mean, I'm waiting for the moment where she's going to ask Tony to help her out, and I don't like that it hasn't come yet, but I'm sure it's leading you to think that's going to happen, but that could be a misdirect. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think pretty much covered everything else. Janice is just Janice. She finally got a little bit of a comeuppance, so that was nice.
Yeah, I'll just leave it alone. No, yeah, this is a really good episode, and really good. Just went off of a kind of who Melfi is as a character, and just really seeing her kind of struggling whether or not she wants to dip her toe into like this bit of mob life, and where like she definitely rides the line of how much she likes it, because she clearly likes having Tony around as a patient. There's just something about him that she likes going back to every week, though she also doesn't really want to get involved with him personally. And like that, like just seeing her struggle with that throughout the whole episode is really nice. And then yeah, also getting some good Ralph stuff at the beginning. We're gonna keep getting that this week.
We done?
Yeah.
Okay. Another toothpick. Episode ends with one of the main things I missed probably from the last one. Tony, Dr. Jennifer suggests Carmela and Tony do therapy together to work out the things. Let me tell you, it goes as well as expected. Also, probably one of my favorite lines in the entire problem thing ever. They're arguing like, "Oh, why don't you work through it? You're not doing everything." And Jennifer's like, "I get where you're coming from, but like we're trying to work through it. Did you tell you about where the panic attacks are coming from? We talked about the fucking meat. We know where the thing is. That's why I passed out. And they're going back and forth. What you shut down? Maybe you're guilty for something. Maybe you're this. And then at the end, Dr. Jennifer goes, "You both seem very angry." And Tony goes, "Yeah, I must. You must be at the top of your fucking class." Just like, great job. You picked up exactly what was happening. Now that's a scene I rewound a couple times because I was just like, this is just fucking mint. Tony's driving like a madman when they're leaving the therapy thing, and she's over there crying. So Tony feels bad about it. He's like, "What? Imagine being in somewhere and you feel like totally ganged up on, like you're just beaten up, like it's 2 versus 1. He's driving like a maniac. Will you slow down?" Gets pulled over. Cop comes to the car, goes, license, registration. "Yeah. Did you know I pay for your buddies the house? Like I work with the cops. Like I know this." He's like, "License and registration." Okay, pretty fucking serious. All right, whatever. Yeah, like you're really writing me a fucking ticket here. So he's pissed off. He's getting a ticket from him. Then there's this incident that's happening outside of I don't know there's 2 guys connected to Tony's family in some aspect, some way or shape or form. There's 2 guys sitting. There's a girl and a guy in a car, and they're arguing about like her be like cheating on him and mad and blah blah blah. She walks up and says, "Hey, can I get a ride?" Like wants to leave. He's still pissed off at the car. He grabs a putter out of his fucking car and bashes him in the fucking head with it. Like cracks his skull like bad, and they end up leaving. So they're all sitting there wrapped up in the he's on life support, like what it looks like. I don't know how he's still alive. Like the motherfucker, the head shot alone. I thought I saw brain. So maybe I'm wrong, but I can just imagine because that fucking guy swung it fucking like a Barry Bonds. They're all sitting around talking about like trying to figure out who did it, who's the girl, where's the connection, like where it is. And then fucking Ralphie shows up and is like, "Oh, what's going on?" He looks at her, blah, blah, blah. "Is there a salami sandwich somewhere?" Like, he's just sitting there like, "Will you shut the fuck up? We're having a meeting." Oh, big guy, big talking guy. And
I
Tony's
brought
like,
some chocolates.
just angry. You can just see it all over their face. Does he end up passing away?
No, I think he's
They're having
at least not
funeral,
yet.
right?
Yeah. No, it was a different funeral for another guy.
Different funeral. Okay.
Yeah.
We get Burt Young makes an appearance. Paulie from Rocky, the dad of what's the character's name?
Bobby.
Bobby Bacla.
Mhm.
His dad is in the showing up, and he's got lung cancer. He is in a bad shape. Blah blah blah. We get an awkward exchange between the priest and Carmela again. That has never like resolved. I just love how clueless Tony is on everything. How's it going, Father? It's awkward exchange. They start until the 24th. He makes that comment. "How you doing?" Nah, like just moves along, whatever. They end up talking about Junior, and them end up talking to Bert, Bacla's dad, about his cancer, and Junior's like, "Oh, he seems really interested in like the whole cancer aspect, like what's going on, like what's going on." Find out a little bit later. Oh God, we get an awkward fucking scene between the chef, which I never can remember his name,
Marty.
and
Marty.
Smoke Show. What's
Adriana.
Which why are they in the fucking room together? Where are they at? Why doesn't fucking matter. He's flirting heavy with her, like just overall like laying it on thick. He's like, oh, he's in that moment when he's with her. He is reconsidering his entire life. He does not know which way's up. He's not married anymore in his brain. He's just gone. You could just tell it on his face. Bakla and Junior are playing checkers. "You can jump me." "What do you mean jump you? You can jump me. Like you can get all the pieces. I can win." "I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to play." Junior says, Why are you being like this? Like, Bachman's like this, I like a golden retriever dog. Like he just sits there and just takes the beating, but loyal and always there. But they end up having a conversation where they, Junior and them. I think it's to set up that Bacla's dad is wanting to take out the guy, but he's got like cancer. He's like dying, but he's like, I want one more hit. Tony also gets wind that how Adriana's like situation with the chef. What is the fucking chef's name? I'm just
Artie.
Party.
this is the fucking what the thing from last season I could never get from fucking The Wire. But either way, Artie comes out. I don't know where he gets his like social cues from, but when you try to like sleep with or get with the guy's fiance, you might not want to like start busting balls with the guy that has a loose fucking mind as Christopher. He's like, oh, boy, having a hard time. I'm like, you fucking idiot. Like, I should fucking rip out your
If
eyeball.
Tony wasn't there, Christopher would have killed him.
He's dead. Artie's dead. Artie is dead. No questions asked. But then Tony like pulls him when Christopher leaves is like, fucking let it go. Drop it.
Tony, I love her. Don't you
No,
fucking
you
say that
fucking
shit again.
Find another one. Like, get the fuck over it. Like, it ain't happening. The guy, he's like, I got a fucking Tony gets a ticket for this thing. He's like, what? I have to. That's why I call you. Take care of it. Get it the fuck rid of it. I'm not paying this. The cop calls. I thought Bakla was gonna get. I thought Junior was gonna get his fucking hand stuck in the disposal again. He was flirting with that. I was like, oh my god, we're not running this bit twice. But Burt Young, Bakla's dad, and Bakla are sitting there talking. He comes in, walking upstairs. He's hacking blood. He's like, oh my god, there's blood. And he's like, yeah, it's fucking normal. So when he gets to work, he's like, that's a part of the cancer? He's like, yeah, that's part of the cancer. Tony meets with Artie to tell him that he wants him to take over that part in the new part of New Jersey because he's going to get tax credits for it and take over the name of like a food place. So like he's like, you won't have to worry. Him and his wife have an argument about it. You're like, you're not working with Tony fucking Soprano. Like this is not happening. Like we're not doing this overall life. Tony goes and like looks for a piece of, I don't know what he's looking for at this like home good, like this.
He needs a piece of piping for something. I think like a fountain or the pool or something.
Yeah, fountain, piping, whatever. Finds the officer that gave him the ticket working there. And he's like, oh, yeah, thanks to your buddies or whatever, I can't get overtime anymore. And he's like, oh, that's too bad. Like, that sucks. And he's like, I'll need this product. We're sold out. He's like, listen, I didn't want all that to happen. Like, that wasn't my call. Like, I wouldn't, with all due respect, it doesn't really matter. Like, he basically tells him that line. They end up finding out who was the guy that hit him in the head with a putter. Burt Young is going to go apparently take him out, which he's complaining about stairs. He walks up the highest amount of stairs I've ever seen in my life to get to this guy's house. He ends up sitting there. He's like, yeah, I didn't mean to. He's like, luckily I put a good word in for you. Tony's going to give you a pass. Like I gave you a pass. Oh, thank God. And then he says, one, he's already going to die regardless. But then he says like one of the dumbest lines ever. He's like, oh, I should have yelled 4 next time. I was like, why the fuck would you like utter that? Like he ends up like, he's like, oh, sorry. And he's like, can you get a drink and make sure you have enough water? He's mad that there's a Mexican guy in the house too. He's like, who the fuck's this guy? He's like, oh, he's my roommate. He ends up walking up behind him to put a bullet in his back of his head. The guy, his roommate comes out and goes, hey, and he ends up firing him in the side of the head or ear or side where he causes pain. He ends up shooting the other guy in the chest. And then they end up wrestling around. And Bakla's dad gets the gun to his head, shoots him in the head. covered in blood, smoking a cigarette, just sits down to smoke a cigarette. God, ends up driving, ends up dropping his inhaler, needing that to basically survive, doesn't, drives into a pole, ends up dying there. Baklow's pretty bad off. Uh, Junior's pretty torn up about it as well, because the cancer issue. Uh, then he ends up breaking the news to Tony that he has cancer. Like, he actually has cancer, and he's actually not doing well. And then Meadow comes home. Meadow and Tony are still having an issue. She lost her bike because it was stolen, and he's like, who stole it? Yeah, and it's like, oh, bigot dad doing the fucking racist thing. He's like, you see how I didn't fall for the bait? Didn't fall for the bait. Thank you so much. Like, gold star me, good job. And then he's like, Tony calls the officer up and is like, hey, I didn't really want that stuff to happen to the guy. Like, he didn't need to do that. Like, didn't need to lose his job. He's like, do you want me to take care of it or not? He's like, oh, he's a douchebag in the they don't really like him. There's a lot of problems. Like, it's fine how it happened. Junior does not want to go to the funeral. To the thing. He's like, what do you mean? I don't feel like it. I ain't going. So he's in the battle there. Tony meets up with the officer that wrote him the ticket and is offering him cash because he feels bad for the overall situation, which Tony has a lot of problems, but Tony is not really, like, overall like a bad guy that's like looking for, like, he is a bad guy. That's the wrong statement. Basically, the people that have it coming to him because of where he goes towards, but like, he wanted to make it right. So the officer was not having it, and that's how the episode ends. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, this is a fun one. The hit scene is probably one of the most chaotic hits I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
And let me see, what else was it? I did get a little nervous when Charles S. Dutton showed up, because last time he showed up on Oz, and we had those investigation episodes that just really dragged that show down to a halt. But he worked out pretty good on this episode. The Artie stuff with Christopher and Adriana. Did they have the dinner in this episode too with Artie and Adriana, or was that the next one? But yeah, that was awkward as all hell. And then let me see what else we got here.
No, it gets more awkward in the next. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Adriana and Artie's next.
That's the next.
interaction
Okay.
is way more awkward.
Meadow taking the lamp out of the basement that the FBI has bugged. all that work that they put into for the first episode of the season has now been wasted. Yeah,
they're like, why is it upstairs? I don't think they're in the basement. Like, no, they're not in the basement.
She's like, I'm taking this lamp back to school with me. I'm like, oh fuck. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Gladiator is a really good movie. You guys should check it out.
Wow. Is that next? I think this is
it starts in this one, but it continues on into the next one.
Oh yeah, motherfuckers! Dude, when they find media they like, they fucking run.
Yeah, because Sunday dinner, like Ralph was talking to AJ about their favorite parts, and then Tony was like, "Hey, do you think you talking about people's heads getting cut off as good dinner conversation?"
Oh yeah, that's next up.
Yeah, that's the next episode.
What's next up?
Yeah, that's the next one. That's early on in the next one.
Oh, okay.
I was so happy for Ralphie had found someone to talk to about Gladiator who was also excited.
This
episode. Not very happy about the other Roman things that he finds out later. But all right. Next episode, last episode, University. Episode starts, we're at the Bada Bing.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the strip club?
Yeah.
Okay. Sitting there, Tony is sitting there, and this young girl, Tracy, comes up to him and goes, yeah, it's my son, there's pneumonia, blah, blah. He's like, that's nice. Thank you so much, Tony. Like, we can be friends. He's like, let's draw the line. Business and friend, we're not that. So like stop, and Sylvia was like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Like, Sylvia was
But
like
she
not
made
having
him
it.
bread.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's like, don't you see how this is inappropriate? To quote what Mark was saying, Ralphie is over there. They're talking about Gladiator, about ripping off the heads and everything like that. I have a personal problem with when a show starts with young kids and they do evolve. That's one thing, but when they become sexually active, I still feel uncomfortable while watching the scene, regardless. Like it happened with me in Arya Stark. Like I don't care. Like nah, you're still 12 in my mind. But Noah and him have sex. They are sexually active in having it. Meadow, fucking weird as shit, comes home glowing from ear to ear, all happy, talking to mom, and it's like, oh, what happened? Oh, nothing, just enjoying
Hell
life.
yeah.
And then I even jumped because this is the part too where she's like coming home and um uh Meadow and Tony are having more confrontation, but this is the bait part. Like, see, I didn't fall for the bait. I didn't fall for it. Like, good job, me. Um, uh, but she's being home more and more. Then the VIP room of the Bada Bing, the girls like go up and wild like entrance price to be able to come shake your ass in there. It's $50 and a blowjob to him later. Okay, cool. Why they blow basically and fuck everybody in this room where they're all sitting there. Ralphie shows up as a fucking the most annoying cocksucker known to man. Is like walking through and like talking to everybody loud and pushing people around and like Walnuts is like, what the fuck? Get this guy the fuck out of here! Like we're having none of it. He picks up like this chain thing or like this bar thing, starts swinging it around. And the guy's like, leave him alone. Like, stop it. Like, everybody's trying to tell him to stop. Don't do it. He ends up cracking this guy right in the face with it while Tony's getting head in the fucking closet. So Tony gets pissed off and walks out. What the fuck? You're going with him. You're taking care of him. I don't remember her. What's her roommate's name? Meadows.
Oh.
Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
To be honest with you. One of the most
Good.
annoying bitches that's ever been one of the could grow, marry like probably the granddaughter or daughter of Pete down the line would make perfect fucking sense to me.
I mean, she's got some
But
issues, so
yeah, she's having emotional. She's having anxiety. She doesn't want any separation between them. Meadow does not really give a fuck at all. Meadow's just like, hey, I'm gonna go like, to Noah, so I'm not doing this. Tracy keeps trying to talk to Tony. Tony's like, hey, Tony's not having it. Sylvia's not having it, but she doesn't get the hint. Noah
being
and Meadow
excited about
decide
her
that it's
braces.
right. Oh yeah, she got braces. Who gives a fuck? Meadow and Noah decide to take out her for her birthday, and they end up walking around. They find a homeless woman at the New York Times shoved up her ass, like "Ooh, she's homeless, and then that's the most upsetting thing ever. Like, good lord, like it's not working out. Um, Ralphie and Tracy are banging in a closet while like a threesome with a cop. Like it's this fucking weird exchange. Meadow and Noah like try to talk to her down and like have this whole conversation about like, hey, she's homeless, like it's not that big of a deal, like let it go. Meadow comes back home while her mom is sleeping and like gets in bed and she's like, I can't sleep there anymore. Do you really love this boy? Like, are you happy? And we're not having that conversation right now, which basically Carmela gives her the eyes. Okay, they're sexually active. That sucks. But Tony walks out of the Bing Bing like it's sun, so he has been there all night. He burned the midnight oil. Tracy ends up talking to him about being pregnant with Ralph's kid. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know if you can make that assumption because just by watching this episode, there's been a lot of entrance to that door, so I'm not really sure what's going on. But whatever. Meadows home, so Noah's back at college, and Noah, the girl comes over to sit in her room, his room while he works on a paper, which is super like annoying, and she annoys the piss at him so bad that he gets a C- on the paper, and he's pissed off about it.
I mean, he
And
really should just kick her.
doesn't tell Meadow that he's like leave. His friends are coming for the weekend or whatever, and like he's not going to spend any time with her, so he's a weirded out. If I could pick two characters that are not sitting at home watching Spartacus, it would be the two characters in this movie show that we're watch Spartacus, regardless if they liked Russell Crowe's Gladiator. But Ralph's pissed off because Kirk Douglas has a flat top. There ain't flat tops in ancient Rome. He's pissed off. They've been sitting there for a really long time. They look just filthy and gross and nasty. They're all sitting there about to hook up, and guess who shows up to the door? It's Silvio. Sylvio's like, "Where the fuck is she?" Pissed off. You've been missing for 3 weeks. I haven't felt good. Get your fucking ass out there. He's like, as long as my money is, you owe me money. Your ass is your twat belongs to me, basically. Which he ends up hitting her, and then fucking Ralphie like smiling and like laughing out the window. Fucking psychopath.
Yeah, it's funny.
You need to see somebody. Go see somebody. It's basically Frank Costello in The Departed right now. Hey, Francis, I'm gonna need you to see somebody. Noah and her dad or whatever and Meadow are all sitting out there like, oh, what does your dad do? Well, he's in waste management. Yeah, sure he is. I won't tell you who that name is. But they end up getting her dad ends up putting a restraining order against her roommate because of the C-. Like, yeah, she can't do this. Tracy and them are like, and they're back in the VIP lounge, which I think is also weird that we only saw the VIP lounge like this late in the like we've never seen this side of the room before, and this has been happening this entire time. But whatever. Tracy ends up busting Ralphie's balls pretty bad in front of everybody. They end up going outside and be like, hey, I want you to be like, I want to be the dad to the kid and like have this emotional threat. And Tracy's like, really? And then he ends up busting her balls and like joking, like, no. So she ends up hitting him, and then he ends up beating the absolute shit out of her.
Beats the life out of her.
Yeah, beats the life out. Did she die?
Oh yeah, she's dead.
Okay, I didn't know if it was confirmed dead or
not. They were rolling her up in the carpet.
They're asking for a
right. But by the way, he ends up coming back into the fucking club and puts his hand in the eyes like, what the? Walnuts is like, what the fuck happened to you? Oh, I tripped and fell. Tracy tripped and fell. They end up going outside. They end up seeing her down, and Tony's like, what the actual? You get the fuck out of here! Like you're doing this here. Walnuts. Everybody's pissed off. Everybody's frustrated about the situation. And I think Tony and Carmela have another session with Dr. Jennifer. I think that's it.
Yeah,
I may have missed something, but yeah, Tracy is now dead. Add her to the kill count, and then yeah, piece of shit Ralphie. Which again, not surprised. Mark said, "Ooh, finally happy she's back in this." So psychopath.
Yeah, this had a lot. I could have done without some of the college stuff. That kind of got a little bit. I don't care, but I mean, it looks like they kind of came to an end for some of that stuff, at least in this episode. All the Ralphie stuff, the part where he's just like picking on the bouncer, and nearly blinds him with a freaking chain or whatever it is. But yeah, overall is interesting. Like I said, the big stuff was all the Ralphie stuff in this episode. He's a freaking psycho, and it's gonna be interesting to see how that builds upon. So I thought Tony was just about to beat the shit out of him at the end of this one, but yeah, so we'll see.
So a couple things. I gotta know about this blowjob guy, because is he like just getting them all like one night like from like 8 girls, or does he just like have like a
I think he has
schedule?
them every day.
He's got
like Monday,
IOUs in his
Tuesday,
back
Wednesday.
pocket.
So
But if this is open every day, like God, I mean, not saying there's a limit, but there's got to be a limit. Like at some point, you know?
I think he's got to collect it within the week. Yeah. So
Fucking
what?
what?
So he's got like just expiring blowjobs or something. Like he's just
Oh
like
yeah,
or
like
he's getting
hey,
like
like
3 or 4
that
blowjobs a day.
rollover ticket is not catching up. Like
I feel
he's
bad for like
losing.
the 4th girl when she's got to.
Well, I don't know how he makes up Tracy's now fund either. Like Tracy's not dead, so does
that's
that
just
roll
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the next
Ralphie
girl?
owes Sal some money because I think she owed him $3,000 still, so Ralphie's got to pay that up.
I mean, I just thought about that when you brought it up. Like, there's like 8 girls. He's not. It's not like he's getting like 8 of them like that. Crazy. Also, I do kind of like how we spent. I mean, I kind of like at least the college stuff in a sense of like because we really want to have like some. We definitely want to have a ton of sympathy for Noah because like Tony treated him so badly. However, he really does come off like a jerk off in this episode. Just
Yes.
like lying to Meadow here and like getting all butthurt about the C minus. Like who gives a fuck? You still pass.
It's
Like
not because he's black though;
like
it's just because he's a douchebag.
Right.
like
That's the difference between us and Tony. We don't care that he's black. We care that he's a douche.
we spent the time learning to know him and realizing he was
Yeah.
a douche.
yeah, and then of course Ralph MVP, just great. Like just complete loose cannon, like just great add to the show. The Sopranos needs a crazy guy in their cast. Like this is what they need.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be real interested on Bad Guy of the Week. Are we back to another unanimous vote here? Because
I don't see how we aren't.
are we all unanimous on Ralphie?
Yeah, I can't think of anyone else that really stands out too strong.
I mean, he beats a 19-year-old girl that's pregnant with his kid and kills her basically because
For kind
he
of
wants
no
to.
reason. Yeah.
Yes, for
Yeah, I
no
was gonna say, I was like, I don't
reason
even
at all.
remember why he started beating her.
Yeah,
Like-
so plus
like, I
he beats
thought
the other
I
guy for
thought
no
the-
reason.
Yeah, I thought what Richie did, to Beansy was super egregious. Like Ralphie's like really like
Yeah.
testing the limit on this one.
And if we gave him Bad Guy of the Week for that back then yeah, so Ralphie should definitely
Oh.
get it.
All right. Well, that's the episode. We will be back next week with another episode. Again, if you haven't watch our season 1 of Last of Us recap episode, and then go back and watch Last of Us season 2, where we break down each episode each week on our live episodes.
We might
will
still be doing it. Who knows?
Yeah, we may still be doing it. Who knows? No, we will most likely not be doing so.
we probably moved on to another show. Who knows?
Yes, TV will continue to flow here at TV Chronicles, now on Multiplex Entertainment. This is not because Mike called out cheaters. Promise you. Just easier for me to manage.
Everyone will have forgotten about that by now.
True.
You're
Don't
bringing
cheat
it all
in
back
trivia.
up.
Yeah. See you next week. Bye.
Let's take it a little slower. Wake up breakfast. On the
I'm a different kind of cop.
I don't wanna do your dirty work no